What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. It is the 20th day of April. Shout out to the stoners who are celebrating. 10 hours, 25 minutes left in the day, and here we are at about $75.2 thousand. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. I can't actually tell. I can't actually tell if you guys can hear me or not. Let me see. How would I tell? Let's see. I don't know. Sources. Audio mixer. There we go. Okay, good. You guys can hear me. Yeah, something weird happened with my OBS, man. I don't know what it is. Anyways, getting back to it. 75.2K now. Made the prediction when we were at about 74K that Bitcoin would go back to 77K over the next 72 hours. We are. Whoop, I didn't mean to click on that, but we are, I think, doing just that. The reason why I was so confident, the reason why I made that call was most people were panicking, right? It's funny how this all happens. All the bears were super loud down here. All the bulls were super high up here. We didn't really move much. Like what's giving you the reason to be less bullish? What's giving you the reason to be more bearish? What was, like we really didn't move much to the upside. We really didn't move much to the downside from this little area we were consolidating in. So it's just funny how emotional people are. And I feel like looking at my X page, not my X page, but just the For You page, scrolling through, people were very pessimistic. And they were putting it on the Iran-United States conflict, kicking up dust, which we've been doing since February 28th. And look at where we are now. The conflict does not matter. We've been saying this the whole time. And then also because of the DeFi hack that happened with KelpDAO and Aave, I don't honestly think too much about that either. Hacks happen. Hacks happen. This is no different. It might be a more sophisticated hack, whatever that means, but they're all somewhat sophisticated, aren't they? And there's exploits that are found in the system throughout the entirety of crypto that only makes things stronger. We're going to figure out how to fix the exploit, or I mean, maybe I say we, but they've probably already fixed it. Otherwise, more money would be taken out. I don't know. Anyways, $75.3 thousand. 10 hours, 23 minutes left in this day. Let's get into it, okay? That's enough stuff to think about for now. I was very, very bullish at the lows because everybody was very, very bearish and we didn't really do much. I'm also always bullish anytime we see a dump over the weekend. We're always bearish if we see a pump over the weekend. I literally said on Friday, the best thing we could do from here is have a bad weekend. That was the best thing that we could do because this actually puts us in a position where most people were all of a sudden talking about prices below 60K. This put us in a very confident position where we could actually not just talk about prices above 77K, but even potentially higher highs. Yeah, it is possible. I'm not calling for that. I'm not there yet. But if we look at BTC, let's see, BTC futures. Come on. Come on. Bitcoin futures here. On the daily time frame, yeah, the gap right here. You might not be able to see it as clearly on the daily time frame, but there's a gap right here going all the way back to about 77.6K. I should have made the call to go back above 80K because really that's what we're going to do. Look at the gap. Look at the gap we formed over the weekend. And I don't know. I'm not paying attention to too much on X right now. I haven't really gotten things started. Everybody seems to be freaking out about DeFi. I don't know. I don't think so, man. 1 million total value changed in how long? 1 month? 1 month? I mean, yeah, things were bearish the last month, though. That's not really fair. 7 day. Okay, some of these, though. Some of these are pretty extreme. Some of these aren't even what I would call DeFi, but people are afraid of DeFi. That's like being afraid of money because it's made out of paper. You guys, crypto and DeFi go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. It's one of the most promising aspects of cryptocurrency is the potential for decentralized finance. That is so don't let this hack scare you away from what is literally one of the most implementable things today from crypto. Okay, don't let that happen. Anyways, let's move into the short-term stuff and then we'll come back out to the long-term stuff. All right, I do assume that we're going to continue to move up. We look at this here on the 1 hour time frame, and well, as we're moving down, there's just no volume. It's over the weekend. There's no volume at all. We picked up the pace a little bit here, and we picked up a little bit of volume too, to be fair, but still not really a whole lot of volume. Still higher lows overall. This could be some type of head and shoulders pattern. I don't think so. I don't. It's too weird. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'm there yet with calling for a higher high, but I am there as far as calling for a slightly lower high, maybe a slightly higher high, a kind of double top scenario here is what we're looking for at the moment. There could be a scenario where we push higher and we go to 80K, but that's about the limit that I have there. Is like just below 80K. That's really the limit that I have. Maybe like $100 or $2 above 80K, but just really we don't get past that zone. That's my most bullish outcome. And right now I'm not even calling for that. I'm more expecting something around this high, a slightly lower high, a tip for tat high, or a slightly higher high, whichever one comes. But anyways, I digress. Looking at this on the indicators with our handy dandy indicators here, the MACD, it's not really that helpful, is it? It looks bullish right now. But there's really not a whole lot to go off of with that. The stochastics look bullish, being overbought, getting into this zone here, encroaching upon that zone, and the RSI. There's good things and bad things, you know. Lower lows here, lower highs, kind of right. You're kind of in this like downward sloping trend. Yes, there's blemishes. It looks more bearish than bullish, if I must admit. You know, if I have to say, I think it does, but overall, again, we're in a very bearish sentiment wise environment, and that makes me bullish. If anything, people are freaking out because of a weekend dump. Makes me bullish for the coming days of this week. Now that doesn't mean that by the end of this week we're closing up here. I did say that we'd pump in the next 72 hours, and by now it's more probably closer to like 48 hours. But the point here is that over the next couple days we might pump, and then the rest of the week we could close this week red. Just because we're making that call now and it hits doesn't mean that we're bullish through the roof. Maybe we should be. Time will tell. We'll see how we react up here. But at least something that is above 77K is what I would forecast, and what I am forecasting. We have lower lows in the RSI. The 4-hour RSI has reset itself entirely. Most of the time that we are down here at this oversold area, that is a local low area where we do bounce from. A bounce in itself does not mean higher highs. Again, just to be clear there, we do have lower lows in the RSI with higher lows in the price. It's hidden bullish divergence, you guys. We have lower levels, lower readings here than we did here, and we have a stronger reaction. That's not bad. That's a good thing. We look at this with the stochastics. Clearly they're bullish. Here. They're pointed up. How do you know they're bullish? They're pointed up. That's simple. Coming into the oversold zone, getting out of it, lingering in this overbought higher area for a lot longer than you were oversold. That's another way to look at it too. And the MACD is clearly bullish as well. Yes, it's flipped red, but you're at the zero. You bounced off the zero here before. You bounced off the zero. It looks like you want to bounce off the zero now. You bounced off it here, but to the bearish effect. You were bearish even though you were green, right? We're bullish even though we're red. That's the whole point there. The 4-hour time frame has been actually very helpful over the past couple weeks now, and I think that it's going to be helpful here as well. Every time we get overbought, we're at a relative high. That's all this was. This doesn't even have to be the top. We could go higher. It is possible, but again, that's not necessarily what I'm calling for. If we do see a higher high, my expectation is it'll be just slightly higher, and I will be looking for a soft leveraged short position up there if we get the chance. If not, maybe at other levels. But I digress. Again, let's move on. 4-hour looks good. It looks ready to go. Is what I would say. The daily time frame here, showing strength, man. It's really showing strength, and I want to see what the sentiment is. 53. I mean, it's not that low. Surprised that it didn't go lower, but people are probably again more aware that it's the weekend. Let's wait and see how things go. Another thought here is that if money's leaving DeFi, where's it going to go? They might be putting it in Bitcoin. They might be putting it in staking protocols for USDC, USDT. And then the people who have that money staked, they're going to put it into Bitcoin. The people who are the centralized authority figures behind it. You think when you stake, your money's just sitting there. Maybe there's some protocols where that's the case, but just assume, because this is likely what the case is, any time that you're staking, the protocol is using your funds the same way that banks do whenever you deposit your money, right? That's why they pay you a yield, because they're taking your money, investing it, and making money for themselves so that they can pay you a yield for borrowing your money. That's what staking is, effectively. And if you say, no, that's not what staking is, okay, all right, well, then how come with the best DeFi project out there, Aave, one of the highest market cap coins, how come everybody's having a hard time withdrawing their coins, or like their money's stuck in the pools? It's because it's exactly what happens. There's borrowing that takes place. That's the whole point of DeFi. Anyways, I digress. If that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know how to I don't care to really explain it more, but that's okay. Looking at this here in the stochastics, we have lower lows in the RSI. Lower low in the stochastics, higher lows in the price. It is hidden bullish divergence to a degree. We look bullish here, guys. We really do look bullish here with the stochastics. The RSI also is taking on a bullish shape. I'm a bit interested here to see what happens next. I mean, if we can get into the overbought zone, we might be breaking above 80K. That's not the call. I'm not making that call yet, but just saying it's interesting. We're in an interesting position for sure. Definitely not a bearish position here. If we close today green, if today closes green, this looks really good. And if we reject the overbought zone, that will look really bad. We reject the overbought zone, we get a lower high with a high that is basically here or even above there, give us some bearish divergence at the top, alongside, at the top of like what's been a very fought for kind of path all the way up here to this overbought territory. And then we reject the overbought zone where we once were getting into it. I mean, the last time we rejected the overbought zone like that, we sent it down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Remember, guys, remember this. Sear this into the back of your skulls, okay? Last week on Sunday, everybody was bearish at the lows, and it was a Sunday dump. That gave us the absolute confidence that we were going to pump, and we did. All right, we made that call at the low. Sunday here, same thing. We were dumping down, and the reason why, CME gap, primarily sentiment bearishness, over bearishness for such a short-term move. But you sprinkle that in there with the CME gap, and it definitely makes sense that we would recover. And that's exactly the same logic that we applied here. Not every CME gap gets filled immediately. There have been gaps that we have that don't, But this is a little bit more of an extreme gap. Things are different. We were breaking out of this range overall. We were in a breakout phase of this range overall here. So that was a little bit more extreme of an endeavor. And maybe that's exactly what we're going to do right now, is we're going up to fill this gap. And that's where that 84K target comes to mind, both as a point of prior support and to fill the gap there. On Bitcoin, it's also, if we look at this here, it's also a point of prior support right there, 85, 86, 84K, whatever. I don't really have anything else to say. I've said it all. What more do you want? Stochastics look bullish on the weekly, to be fair. The MACD looks bullish on the weekly, to be fair, but again, we could have a false cross. I'm kind of expecting this to be a false cross to the upside, so the next couple of weeks might take a bearish tilt. And the weekly RSI, it is bullish breaking out of this downtrend, but what this means, again, a lot of people get this misconstrued. This in itself does not mean we're in an uptrend, we're going to the overbought zone, it's time to party. No, when you break a downtrend that's been established like this for months, for a long time, and really it could even be a longer downtrend like this, who knows? Typically what happens, what we look for is not a breakout into a upward sloping trend. That's not typical. It happens, but it's not typical. The typical thing is you break out, you move sideways, and then you form your upward sloping trend, right? So you break out, you move sideways, and then you form your upward sloping trend. In this sideways phase, that's whenever you do see lower prices. Breaking out of the RSI, the downtrend in the RSI, does not mean you found your low. It can, but it does not mean you found your low. What it means is you're either at your low, maybe, or you're near your low, which is the position that I'm taking. I do believe that we will go lower. I do believe that we'll see lower prices in time. And what would really substantiate that is if this was a false cross. A false cross looks like this, like that, or like that. Those are both. It's like a back-to-back false cross. False cross there, right? We had one of those. False cross to the downside there. False cross to the upside here. False cross. A small little bit of a pushback in the trend of the MACD here, but I don't think it'll last long. Anyways, I got nothing else. Hit that like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye-bye.